Everyone, and in this video we are talking about Numpy. Numpy is the very basic data visualization library which consists of all the mathematical expression as well as all the visualizing tool that we required to go ahead and process the data before we actually use it to train our models. So this Python Numpy is installed by the simple run the command as mentioned below, pip install Numpy. So here in the Google Colabs, I'm just starting my kernel so that it will you can getting the status in the top right corner. It says connecting right now, and when it says connected, it shows the result in the bottom cells of it. So it's initializing right now and it's get connected. Now you see the hello world in the output. So first of all we need to install, so pip install numpy. Okay, so when we shift and enter, and the same time it runs the cell and whatever the things inside that command, it runs it as it is. So the requirement is satisfy in my Google Colab, so you can go ahead and do so. Now the first of all thing is we does here is importing numpy as np. So let's just import this numpy as np. Now when we did this, it is give nothing because it's just imported. First of all we need to check the version, so numpy dot check version. So numpy dot version dot check, and here the version is 1.18.3. now in the different cell we use arr as a variable, and we print at numpy dot np dot array, and inside that we just specify the simple array. Now we're taking the number 7 till so that it shows arr, let's say, and here you get an array of 1 to 7, and this is the numpy array. So arr equals to np dot. Now the second thing is range. A is maybe small, yeah, a range. So inside this we need to pass the two arguments. One is the starting and the second one is ending point. When we run this cell, it shows nothing as we just declaring it up. When we requesting for an output, it shows the result like 1 to 18. So this is what the array is in numpy will look like. Now the third one is np dot full. This argument required a parentheses as with the 2D array 3 cross 3 matrix. Now we need to give the items that what you need to be printed in that array, and there is another thing is data type. So data type can be specified as int, string, boolean, and so on. So you just choose this thing, but it's not required. So when we run this thing, so we got the 3 by 3 matrix of all values being default, and the data types is u7 as the printed. Now let's say we are going to change the data type, and like we use true, so like writing the true over here, and when we run this thing again, it gives the 3 cross 3 matrix with all the values to be true. Now after this, if you want, you can specify 1 also as a number, and you got the 3 cross 3 matrix with all the values 1. Now after that we go ahead further and do some medium kind of stuff. So we use arr, so the arr will having the that kind of array. Now after that arr, and inside the square bracket we are specifying the conditions. So what condition, like let's say what arr and after that mod 2, when it's equals to 1 it shows, but here is an error, syntax error, that it's required double equals, and here we go. So it's all gives us the all the odd values presenting in that array. Now if we want that to be replaced, okay, so we are going to use that whatever the values coming here is been replaced by the 0. Now when we printing arr again, and it gives you like so. So cool stuff, and move further. Now we go ahead and using arr again, so that it shows the same array as before. Now when we use the dot shape method to any array acting as a tuple, it shows the error like this. So if this shape is good enough and you get the right and you were requesting for the right array, it gives you the directional and the size of the array as well as whatever the shape, like one row and one columns kind of. So we the first one is reshape, and reshape, what does reshape does, it can reshape the current array like we use on arr. So it reshape the current array, and then after we specify 2 and -1. So first value is for the row, as you get that 2 row, and -1 specify that whatever the columns has been required, go ahead do so, but we required only 2 rows. So by this you can easily get whatever the data you want at your specific time. Now we'll use arr.shape again, and as we all know, it's a tuple, it doesn't affect anything also. So it's not going to be suffer out. Now yeah, now we need to do some bit of more like stuff in this. So we are starting with, let's say, arr, and yep. So the values neither be changed because it get reshaped, but I'm not storing the reshape values on the perfect particular array. Now arr dot minimums and maximum would be their function. There is a function like where are min, so it goes ahead to every element comparing to each and every, and gives you the minimum one, and the same is for the maximum one. So the maximum one is 18. Perfect. Now after this let's just go and find the standard deviation. So .std will gives you that, and the same thing will for the very big stuffs also. Now arr, inside which we square bracket, we want only the arr values that will be less than 5, it shows below. So you can use all the conditions inside that square bracket for the particular array. So you got in there. Now let's say arr square bracket and we use the colon, and before which we use 3. So it says that go ahead, select the values from 3 to the last. It does that. Now after that we specify 5, so it says go ahead, select the value till the 5, as the colon will representing the starting and stopping values separation. Now moving further, np.ones, what np.ones did, so like say 20. Now it's give a array of ones. So you can go ahead and do the first parameter is shape, then the second is data type, and third one is order. Now we need to specify only the shape as it is the compulsory thing. So what it does is we use np.1 and we specify 2. So it gives a value array of all the values 2. And now when we specify 2 and 2, so it's given 2 by 2 matrix with all the values of 1 as we requested. Now and the same while we use zeros also, as this is the universal things, we use zeros also. So we got the 2 by 2 matrix with all the values 0. And now the I matrix, so it gives an error because I matrix is not a single 1D matrix, so it's having the parameter separated, like you have to passing the argument without the parentheses wrapping into it. So we use like I, and in the single parentheses we write 2 and 3. So it gives you an array of 2 by 3 with the I matrix parameter, and principles will be there. Now let's say 3 cross 3 because it was the minimum value where you can get a perfect I matrix. Here we go. Now after that we switch for the further values, and let's say a equals to an array. So np dot array, so we use a range function to specify the values. So we use 1 to 10, so it gives you 1 to 9, and we use b is a np dot range, so 2 to 9. Yeah, okay. So a range 2 to 9, and it get this. Yeah, perfect. Now so we have a method called intersect 1D. Now what does it method does is it gives you an output of the values that is common in both the array. A and B. So you can find out that whatever the values will be common in two arrays of 1D or either 2D, it doesn't affecting in so you can go ahead and use it. So now again we use another function called let me just do once and go. So my get connected, yeah, checking the A, and now let's just check B. So yeah, so we got something differ in there. So np dot differ is the function. So set differ 1D and A and B. This gives you the value that is not presenting or whatever the difference in both the array. So and obviously it is an numpy function, so it return only array. And so now after this, what the next step we are going ahead, we can just upping our level up and making the things ready for us. So right now we are using the condition statement called np.where a is equals to b. So it gives you the perfect error, as it's not a very error, it's a warning that there is not a single values that will be related to where, because in the array A the one is presented and the array B the one is not presented, and the indexing of both the elements are the different. Now let's just use it for another while and use it like A. The first of all we printing A again and we print B again. So now we use, let's say, np dot where, and in the parentheses A is equals to B, and the same error comes arises because it all the index of the array is not the same. But when we specify B equals to A, it gives you the same error. Why? Because as it's not compared to the B to A, it's not comparing A to B also. Now let's say np dot array, and the array must be like in 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and B is np dot array of let's say an array of 2 3 1 and 7 and 0. Okay, yeah. Now what is specified is np dot where clause here also A is equals to B. So you got the same error as well. Now so this error is continue unless your elements are same. Let's say we specify 1 at the front and run it again. So when we using this, so we got the same error, but when we changes this thing up, and we got the same error as like so. Now what I'm going to do is np dot where A equals to B. Now you got that 1 and 2. Now let's say 5 and 7. So it gives you so, and 5 now again it gave you 0 and 1 because it's yeah. Now when you run it again, it's only since the one having the same index fingers, so it gives that. Now this is what the very basic thing of the numpy, and we wanted to do something else right now. So we go ahead further and using some different things. np dot where, now inside where clause we have a parentheses, and A is greater than like 2, and same thing will be there. And okay, so and is not in here and is outside of the parentheses, and where a is divided by 2 is equals to 1. Okay, it is equals to 0, let's say. No, let's say 1. So so if both the situation will true, then it returns the array and it returns the answer. So runs So we had a syntax error like equals to, so we put that two equals. Now we have zero values in our array as the both the condition is not true, but when we put the pipe or function, it returns 1 and 2. So it says the first and the second thing is specify that condition, but in the a we not going to do so. When we put as equals to, it gives you the array of 1 as the first index of the a and b array will specify that condition. Okay, yeah. Now for moving further, so we use np dot a range array. Okay, so we're not using a range, we are using a equals to np dot a range, and after though we using 10 and let's say 50, and we run it again. Now we reshape this thing up with the 3 cross 3 matrix. Now so these values are not fitting in 3 cross 3 matrix, so we specify -1. The -1 also not works as like 3 is the odd number and we having a even numbers of value, so it not been fitting in, though we specify 6. So again the same error will causing, because the size of a matrix is 4 and 6 neither be divided in by the 4. So what I'm going to do is reshaping it with the 6. So the second argument is null, so the error will stay ahead. Now what I'm do is a printing the a values and finding the counting of it. So it counts 40. So I'm going to again reshape this thing up, and in this reshape value we specify as a like we know let's say 10 will be the values. So we are going to use 10 and 4. So 10 40 equals to 40, so it gives you the 2D array. Now after the we are going to like specify -1, so it's give you the same output as whatever the number of row is being there, you doesn't care, but you want to be the 10 elements to be fit in. Now so 10 rows will be fit in, and whatever the column is required, that will be required. Now a as what our array is. Now a on the square bracket we specify colon 1, that will gives the single 1D array. Okay, single 1D array. And if we specify b is equals to this and b, so it's give the 2D array, whatever the array we reshaped in the previous one. Now b, and inside b square bracket 1 is equals to, let's say a is first is equals to b of 1. Okay, and first printing the first value, it gives the 14 15 16 17 as is the second value, but it's the first one. Now b, when we printing the b, it clearly sees that the 14 15 16 17 is this second value. Now b of 1 is equals to b of 0. Okay, so now b of 0 is equals to, let's say b of 0 is equals to b of first first. Now after that there is not a single error, and when we printing this thing up, it say it gives the 0 value to the first column and the now the 0 values to the first column. Now it's the same thing is you can notice that the 0 and the first column is getting the same value. So this is also the very first thing for the numpy. So this is the basic stuff. Now after though we are using np dot linspace Linspace, what does it do is when we passing the argument for the starting and ending, we had the equal line spaces specified by us only. So the first thing we start and then stop, and then with the number, so like 1 and 10, so we had a linear space between 1 to 10. Okay, and now we need to specify whatever the differences will be there. Let's say 4, so it's specify only the 1, 4, 7 and 10. Now after that it gives the linear spaces. Now let's say 100, so it gives the values. Okay, so it gives the linear spaces, and the number of values coming out is the and the values we are specifying in this thing. Now let's say np dot random, it's give the random value, so we use rand and method to generating some the random values. Okay, yeah. So let's say np dot random rand n, and when run our cell, it gives you the random value. When you run this cell again, you get the different values. Like let's say, yeah, you getting the different values. Again you got the different values, and again you got the different values too. So this is the random values generated by the numpy. Now after though we are using np dot random dot seed. So what does it does is it's generating some random values which is being seeded, so it's equivalent. Okay, so it doesn't give the output. I don't know why this happened, but let me just run this thing again, and we just declare on a variable, and when we printed the variable, let's say no, it doesn't give an output. So maybe I'm missing something over here, or maybe the requirements is maybe the configuration of this thing is not the right. Let me just tweak this again, and generating random values without the 10, and let's say, so it's a built-in number. Okay, so it doesn't give any seed right now. So let me just clear this thing up, and as testing this thing again. Let me just, one thing will be there. So we face these kind of things in the data science field, but let me just go ahead and get this thing in a, and okay, so it relocating me a kernel. So yeah, it's done, and let's say a, and inside the square bracket 1 is greater than 9. It's give you anything, because it's something that is not happen. So a is just greater than 9. Yeah, so you got the like whatever the condition statement over here, and you like a is the values which is specified in by the linspace. Now we need to reshape this thing. So a dot reshape, and we specify the two values, so we use comma, and the first value is, the second value is 5, and let's say the first value is 5, and the second value is -1. So yeah, you got the 2D array of 5 by -1. So whatever the row it use, it's give you like 15 -1. So the 15 is not fitting in up, as we had 100. So we are not going to use 15 over here. We use 12. Let's say no, we didn't use 12 as well. We use 10. So yep, we getting the 10 values in a single row, and we divided this thing up with the very possible measure. Now as like the basic numpy will be ended over here, so we just tweaking this thing up. Let's say a and 2 cross 9. So you got the second row, ninth column as like the values. And you can check this thing up again, like you got the mm, second row, means second row's ninth value. So actually this is for the addressing of the array. Okay, so use 2D array so that you can go ahead do so, and you can use like so. So you got the values. Okay, so it says like second row first value. Okay, so you get that thing up in the above array. By this you can easily address the elements in the numpy array, and you can use this thing to like generating some or getting some exact value what you required. So now, as like this video is been ended, so let me just thanks you all guys for watching this till the end. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe so that you can easily updated to my all the content which I'm pushing into YouTube. Thank you so much. Bye bye.